Adam and Eve were made caretakers of the earth, but especially of the Garden of Eden. And the Bible says in Genesis chapter 2 that they were to dress it and to keep it, to be stewards of it. They could eat of any of the trees of the garden, the berry bushes, all these different things, including this tree of life, which gave them life. But there was this one tree that they were warned, don't eat it. It was also in the midst of the garden. It was called the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And God warned them that if they ate of it, they would begin that very day the process of death and dying, which they knew nothing about. And sadly, Eve was tricked into eating this fruit from the deadly tree by listening to a talking serpent, not just some green snake slithering in some random tree. We learn later the snake is punished and cast to the earth, which leads many to believe that the snake had wings. We also know that everything was much larger then, so humans were believed to be like 16 feet tall, living nearly 1,000 years, so it doesn't take a giant leap to wonder why all the dragon lore through history. This serpent may have been like some dragons we paint and these creatures that we imagine today. Could this be why later in the scriptures, the devil is referred to as the great dragon? Okay, so Genesis 3 describes this conversation between the serpent, where he asked Eve this question, did God say to you, you shouldn't eat of every tree in the garden? And Eve says, well, God says we can't eat of the tree in the middle of the garden, this tree, and if we touch it, we die. And he says, you won't die. God knows that if you eat of it, your eyes will be opened. You'll be as the gods, knowing good and evil. And so she decides, I'm going to trust this snake instead of God. And she takes the fruit and touches it, and nothing happens. Well, what if? Maybe the serpent's right. Maybe God's warning isn't true after all. So she looks at this fruit. It looks good. She wanted to be wise like the serpent, so she ate it. And then she gives some to Adam. He eats it. Then their eyes are open. And 2 Corinthians chapter 4 describes this. They had this light of the knowledge of the glory of God that had been their robe of righteousness. They realize it's gone. And though the woman was deceived, Adam was not. So by one man, sin came into the world, and so did death to everyone. And because sin separates us from God, Adam and Eve suddenly were filled with fear. They go and hide themselves from the Son of God. At the same time, he came to meet with them every day in the cool of the day, as he always did. How would you feel in this moment? Why were they feeling these feelings of anxiety and fear? See, the everlasting covenant, this counsel of peace between the Father and his Son, it had now been activated. Psalm 85 says, mercy and truth met together, righteousness and peace kissed each other. And the Son of God explained to Adam and Eve, he would become the seed of the woman. He would allow the serpent to bruise his heel. He would be bruised for our iniquities. But Hebrews 2 says that he, the Son of God, would taste death for every man. But in the end, the sweet promises of Genesis 3, he would crush the serpent's head. He would destroy the power of death and the devil himself. And now that the war that began in heaven, it came to the earth, but mankind was not without hope. Though the angels couldn't understand it, love began to be revealed in this grander sense than ever before. We all know John 3:16 says it so beautifully. God loved this world so much, he gave his Son to it. And Romans 8 says, he spared not his own Son, but delivered him up, that for us, he would freely give us all things. This was the promise. But was this fully the mystery revealed? How long would it be until the war ended?